All right. Well, I'm here. Hey, Atsimina.
Good to see you.
Good
Good to
to
see you,
see you, my
Dad.
boy.
Yeah. So maybe I'll start with I'll just do a little introduction for you, Dad, and we'll
Okay.
let the people know a bit who we're talking to. Hi, everyone. My name's Adam. Such an honor to be here with you, and a real honor to be here with Leonard Dayrider, also known as Owl Talks. And so just a little background on Leonard. Leonard Dayrider was born and raised on the Blood Indian Reserve in the Great Plains of northern Alberta, southern Alberta, and he's a First Nations member of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the largest First Nations reserve in Canada in the traditional Blackfoot territory. He's a full-blooded elder, and he describes himself as a simple human being who has retained his cultural, traditional, and spiritual way of life over the many decades in life. To his community, he is revered as a grandfather, a knowledge keeper, a spiritual advisor, a spiritual keeper and caretaker of the big drum, a Sundance leader, and a revered storyteller. Professionally, he has worn many different hats, some of which include being a successful business owner, a semi-pro hockey player, an engineer, and using his cultural knowledge and his unique life story, he regularly teaches to his community, schools, government organizations about the universal principles of responsibility, honesty, trust, respect, and highlighting the themes of how to help each other, how to care for one another, how to love one another, and ultimately, what it means to be a human. His stories and teachings have touched, helped, and healed thousands willing to look, learn, and listen. So it's a truly an honor to have you here today. And on that note, I'll just pass it over to
Church.
yeah, Chebs to sorry, I was wondering who I was going to pass it to to start it off. So to you, Chebs.
No, that's totally fine. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Thank you so much, Elder Leonard Dayrider, for joining us from Alberta. That is incredible. We are so incredibly pleased to have you on the show. For some time, we've been trying to get one of our indigenous elders to come on here and speak to us and have some conversations going. And hopefully, you're the first of many that will come, and hopefully, you could help us sometime facilitate some conversations with some of your fellow elders on some of the questions that many of us, the young folks, have out here about life, about things, how to navigate society, all kinds of things that can help us grow. So we're really incredibly excited to have you with us today. And I just want to ask my first question that I wanted to get your thoughts on was just about what does it mean for you to be, in that role as an elder at this point in time? It seems like we're living in a time when there's a lot of things going on, and we need a lot of guidance from our elders, from our spirituality, from the places where we go for guidance. And it seems our elders are one of the primary places. So how does it feel for you being in that role of an elder at this almost chaotic point in time?
Hmm. Very, very good question, Chep. To me, maybe I'll just step back just a second just to greet you and my son, Atsimina, young helpful man. That's the spirit name I transferred to Adam years and years ago. Uh, in our way of life, the Blackfoot people. Uh, and he introduced me quite well. I don't regard myself as all these other characterizations, indigenous, Indian, First Nation. I just simply refer to myself as a human being, just like you, just like everybody else in this world. We're all human beings. We're no different. Um, and in our Blackfoot territory, there's a word that describes us, who we are. And it's simply spoken in our language, which the word is nichitapi, basically meaning human being or the real people, one of those two. So now to get back to your question, Chep, what does it mean? To me, being an elder, and we all grow up to be elders since the time we were born as babies, young children, young adults, young men and women, and sooner or later, the years accumulate to where we are today. To me, um, I just simply take it as time. And each day that we live, we learn from what happened yesterday. And you mentioned to the many people around the world, it's what an individual does with that time that has gone by, what you can take out of that time and to take a look at it. To us, human beings, we don't dwell too much on time and all the things that are happening in this world. There's nothing we can do about it. The only thing that we can do is the time that we have to enjoy every second, every minute, every hour, every day of the years as they come by. But it's knowing what to do with what you've gone through and to take a look at it and to take from it and to take your experiences from the past, to take a good look at it and to look into the future, like today, the present, and to the future. And the difference is an individual wanting to help others as best as they can. That's what it is to be an elder. It's wanting to help. There's a lot of elders out there, but they just don't know what to do with their time or what to do with themselves. So with me, I've gone through a lot in my lifetime. I've experienced a lot of hardships, but I've just kept going on and on. And my main focus is today is to try and teach people, real simple, I'm not going to say values, just simple things that one can follow that groups everything, into one's life. And there are basically four simple things: honesty, responsibility, respect, and trust. And out of these four, one can understand them as an elder. Then you can go out and help people, to teach them very simple things based on what we've gone through in the past. And that's to how to help each other, how to take care of each other, how to share with each other, how to look after each other. But most important, how to love one another as human beings. So that is the answer to your question, Chip.
Very, very well put. Very well put. I couldn't. Very powerful. Adam, back to you.
Well, I guess I've been having a question that I've been sitting with a lot these times, and just with I think there's a lot of we just entered a second lockdown over here in Ottawa, and there's a lot of I know there's a lot of fear, and there's that energy of fear within what's going on. And I'm just wondering how to help people, stay focused on that and stay focused on what it is that we want to create. Like, how can we navigate these turbulent times, but still remain resilient and focused on that light, as opposed to running back to the fear?
Okay, that's another good question. With everything that's happening today, at the very minute, we've got this, to us, we just call it the great sickness, that is not only targeting just North America, but the entire world. And the entire world is so geared up, concentrated on this one great sickness, on how to deal with it. One of the biggest things that we human beings, I personally take a look at it, is we cannot discount today's inventions, if I can use that word. And the inventions that I talk about are science. Back in the old days, and I still remember them, any kind of sicknesses that came, we turned over to Mother Earth, the provider of everything that we have. We looked to her. We asked her, could you give us something that we can use, because you are our mother, that we can use to prevent this sickness, this disease, or whatever. We usually do it in a good way through prayers. We ask, we listen, and we wait. Sooner or later, Mother Earth will guide us, show us the right roots, the herbs that we need to collect them and to use them in a certain way, which will take care of that sickness. For years and years, the human beings right across North America have pretty well known that this great sickness, we didn't know what it was going to be called, was going to be coming. So how did we prepare ourselves? We can't nowadays go back to Mother Earth and ask, because we don't know what it is. So what we've done is we've turned to our spiritual way of life. And I am one, for an example. I believe in a higher power whom I ask to protect me on one side. But as I mentioned, we have to take a look at the invention, science. We also have to believe and trust in today's science. So I'll give you an example. Not too long ago, I just had my second dose of the COVID-19 vaccine that was made available to me. So I did not reject it. I did not say, no, I'm going to wait and get my medicine from Mother Earth. No, I prayed on one hand, my spirituality, and then I turned and I asked for help from today's modern science. So that's what the people have to do. Today, I look at the news and there is a lot of people that are scared. They do not know what to do regarding how to take care of themselves. A lot of people will sometimes listen to others who do not tell the truth. I'll give you an example. Here's a story. Some of the teachings that I like to help people with are stories. A long time ago, in the court systems, a young man lived close next door to an elder whom, for some reason, this young man did not like. So he wanted to hurt this old man next door because he was jealous of the old man, the simple way of life he led. He was always happy, never took anything, too serious, just enjoyed life. Whereas the young man was involved in a lot of things, taking a lot of things on, and he had a very hard life. So he could not stand to see the old man. So what did he do to try and hurt him? He started rumors about this old man, that he was doing things illegally. Now, I won't get into what he accused him of. Eventually, the justice system, he reported it to the justice system. The police came out and took the old man to jail. He appeared before court, and the judge asked the young man to tell him what he was accusing this old man of, which he did. The judge just listened very, very carefully, and he asked the old man, "Do you have anything to say? Is what the young man saying, is it true?" The old man looked at the judge and he said, "No, it is not, because I speak the truth from my heart." After careful deliberation, the judge, before he rendered his verdict, he told the young man to go home, and the old man to go home. The next day he was going to make his decision, and he asked them to both come back. But he told the young man, "I want you to think very carefully of the accusations that you laid against this old man. Then when you come into town tomorrow, when you appear before me, I'll ask you both." So time went by. The next day came, and both the young man and the old man appeared before the judge. And then the judge made this decision. He said, "I've been thinking about this all night. What the young man were accusing the old man of. And I listened to the old man, and the way he spoke, very softly, with his heart, with his eyes, with his body. I believe him." So he found the old man not guilty. And he turned around to the young man and told him, "Lying, spreading rumors about other people is very, very dangerous. You led the whole town to believe that the old man did this. But because of what you did, the old man will forever be known for the accusations that you laid against him, even though they were false. You can never, ever take your words back. For the majority of the people in this town, this community, believe what you said. But I believe the old man." So Adam, going back to your question, it's the stories that people are spreading out there, that this vaccine that's readily available to the people, that is dangerous, is going to hurt them. They're all lies. Because you have to, as I mentioned, those four things: honesty, responsibility, respect, trust. We have to have trust. In my case, in the spiritual way of life, and I trusted modern day medicine, you have to give it a chance. Because if you don't take that chance, who knows what will happen? So people just have to take a look at what's happening worldwide and do the best that they can to help themselves. Because if you don't take the vaccine, just look at how many people. I think there's the count of over 3 million people worldwide have died just as of this morning. So that's a staggering number. So does that make sense to you, Adam?
It does. It does. It's it does that. I have to sit with it because I've been watching from the back and just been. I'm a very I stand back on both parties, and I'm very deliberate about my decisions. You taught me that, and I've just been researching both sides. So I'm just really I'm still, I trust, but I'm still taking the time to you know, just pay attention to there might be some other ulterior motives with this vaccine, and I've heard both stories from pretty credible people. So I'm, yeah, but I trust. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Well, yeah, that's the beautiful part about being human beings, Chubb and Adam, is that we have that ability to make decisions. Whether you agree or not, that's the beautiful thing about Creator and how He created us. He gave each and every one of us our own mind to make the decisions, whether right or wrong, good or bad. It's a decision that we all have to make. I, for one, I just told you, made my decision. Part of the reason why I made my decision, very simple. I want to live. As simple as that. So I'm going to stack the deck in my favor. I'm going to go spiritually, and I'm going to take the medicine. So what harm is it going to do?
Right. No, Elder Leonard, I was going to say that is a very powerful testimony, because, of course, for a lot of for a lot of the general population, some people are looking at others to lead, and then they can follow suit. Others are being more reflective, deliberately or not so deliberately, as Adam is, about what this means for them and how they want to get involved. And then you have the people who just don't trust anything and are on the far side of spreading. So it's really good that you sort of explained that and how you came to your decision, especially for our communities. Your community, our communities have some of the the more skeptics, or discussions around whether this is safe or this is not safe, and for many good reasons, right? Our communities have suffered a lot of structural, systemic marginalization, discrimination at all levels. So we tend to be skeptical about things, and it's good to hear from elders. It's good to connect to your spiritual realm and get what directions you get from there before using your brain to make your own decision. So we appreciate that. I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about your people as we went through the Blackfoot people, because I had lived in Alberta, and one of the unfortunate things is I never really got a chance to learn as much as I wanted to about the different peoples. I know that every time I drive up to Edmonton, I drive by a number of indigenous communities, or at least you see that there are a lot of indigenous communities along the way. But I never really got to learn a lot until I came to Nova Scotia, and I started learning quite a bit about the Mi'kmaq people. And then, I started developing this interest in knowing more about the First Peoples of Canada, whether it's in Alberta, BC, Ontario, and all the different places. So please.
Okay, good to know that. So you want to know a little bit more about the Blackfoot people.
Yes.
First of all, we're not unique. There are countless other tribes, if I refer to that, First Nations, right across North America, right around the world, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I've always been asked about my culture, my tradition, and my spirituality, way of life. Today, some of this answer is going to go into part of what Adam is pondering now. Today, we make everything so complicated. I just recently looked up, not too long ago, what the definition of culture, tradition, and spirituality is on the dictionary and on the internet. And my goodness, the definitions, just for a simple word like culture, are that long. So many words are being used. Some of them I cannot even understand. And I've got a pretty good education. We're just putting too much into just a simple word. So what I like to use, and part of my way of life, is to make everything as simple as possible that I can, especially when I teach others, to use simple language that people can understand. How I define culture is who we are. It applies to all nations right around the world. Everybody has a culture. Everybody has a tradition. Everybody has a spiritual way of life. So culture to me is who we are. Tradition is how we do things.
Mm-hmm.
Spirituality is just simply how we pray. Those are the most simple explanations that I can give.
I have never heard it that simply put. It's so profound. Wow.
Yeah. So now going to the Blackfoot people, that's part of our existence. We do not want, we want to simplify everything that we do and how we fit from the past to today. Adam mentioned a little bit briefly about my background. I'm an engineer, played semi-pro hockey, did a lot of things, successful businessman. I had to adapt from way back in the past to fit into today's society. So I made that transition, but I did it my own way, very simple. By again applying those four main, I guess you can call them values of honesty, responsibility, respect, and trust. So the Blackfoot people, uh, we believe that we have been here since time began. Now, there's archaeologists or whatever you call those guys that dig into the background. They say that we came from another place around the world. But to us, in the stories that we have, our existence started here in North America. Same for a lot of the people. And the Blackfoot people are very unique. Not only do we hold the largest Indian reservation in Canada, but we, I believe, we are the only human beings right around North America that have managed to hold on to our original spiritual way of life. I'll give you an example. There's a ceremony that's been done for thousands, if not longer, years. It's called the Sundance. It's a yearly gathering of our people from all four directions: east, west, north, and south, the Blackfoot people. Years ago, we used to number into the thousands and thousands. But we could not live all together in this one area because we would deplete the food, the resources here. So we moved around and we broke into different camps. So every year, a certain time of the year, Creator calls all of his children together and we come back to one place. It's called the Sundance, where we gather to meet new family, to start new family, and to share in the ceremonies that we do to help the people. From what I understand, our Sundance is the only spiritual ceremony that has never been, I guess, done away with by the government. You mentioned, a lot of the ordeals other people like yourselves and, other races right around the world have suffered that. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe to put it simply, when civilization came out west, we human beings lived with Mother Nature in harmony. We took care of her. But when civilization came, they tried to transform us. And one of the transformation is, maybe we can talk about a little bit later, is residential schools. Mm-hmm. Basically, residential schools was our hell, where basically they tried killing off all the little children of that era. So that's, so I'm just kind of drifting off, but so that's the uniqueness of the Blackfoot people. And I am a living example of the residential school. I'm a residential school survivor. But the uniqueness about the Blackfoot people is we were very and are still very strong. You've heard the word, it's used right across sports, business. I will not give up. That is my motto. I have never and I will never give up. No matter how hard it is, no matter what I have to go through, I cannot give up. Because if you give up, that means it's like, taking the loaded gun, doing away with yourself. You can't do that. That's not what life is. You just have to keep going, doing the best that you can every day. So that's the uniqueness about it. And our Blackfoot people, we have neighbors that were put on a different reservation just to the west of us. And part of our family, human beings, were separated, and part of us were placed on the north side of the province of Alberta. And part of our relatives were placed on the south side of the US border. So compromise those four groups. There's I think there's somewhere around the neighborhood of 60,000 Blackfoot people right now that are in existence, but it's all throughout Alberta and through the United States. Mm. So we are a huge group of people. Okay, so that's a little bit of history, and like I said, one of the things is about our spiritual ceremony. That's the only spiritual ceremony that has never been done away by the government. They tried, but they couldn't. There's a long story behind that where they were basically told, if you try and do away with the ceremony, we cannot prevent what is going to happen to you should you do away with the ceremony. It's not in human beings' hands, it's in Creator's hands. If you do away with something that's part of who we are, guess what? You'll have to answer to Him, not to human beings. You have to answer to Creator. So that's one of the things that the government kind of backed off at the time. And that's why we still have it today. The longest running ceremony in North America. Okay?
Yes. And so just asking, is the Sundance something that So, for example, could I come to participate in the ceremony of the Sundance? Is it limited only to the Blackfoot people and other indigenous peoples, or can we partake of it? It seems like something really profound.
Okay, that's a good question, Chuck. Anybody, and it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, you are more than welcome to come to this annual gathering. It's usually held around the end of July, beginning of August every year. You can come and camp with the Blackfoot people in the Sundance. But there are certain protocols that, as far as being actually involved in the ceremonies themselves, that is something that we regard and we hold very dear, that only certain members of our first, of the Blackfoot people can, I guess, qualify to be in that society. Today, there are 4 societies. One is predominantly the men. It's called the Horn Society. And the second one is the Women's Society, predominantly women, and they're called the Buffalo Women's Society. And the third society is called Brave Dogs. Those are for the teenagers. And the fourth one is for the little children, called the Pigeons. So just to answer your question, Chuck, you have to not taking away anything, but that's what makes our way of life very complete, is how can I put it gently without offending anybody? You've heard that term, and it's commonly used here in, well, I'm going to say Indian country. There's people that want to be Indians.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, I mean, we have to be very careful that we always take a look at who gets involved in these societies. They're the only ones that can do the ceremony. Like, for instance, me, I've never joined the Men's Society, the Horn Society, and of course, I'm not a woman, so I can't be a part of the Buffalo Women's Society. When I was younger, I couldn't be a part of the Brave Dog Society. And when I was a little kid, I couldn't be a part of the Pigeons, because during those years where I should have been involved, guess where I was? Locked away in the residential school for 10 years. So, but to me, like nowadays, I know the societies, but I cannot understand them because I have not been involved in them. That's how, I guess, how can I use the word? They're not secretive, but they're very select. You have to go through a long process. Just like the question you asked me earlier about me being an elder, you have to go through the experiences from a little baby, young boy, young adult, man and woman, before you can be accepted into these societies. So anybody can come to the ceremonies, but be a part of it as onlookers. Very, very rare do they let, and I guess you can call it an outsider, to come. And one of the ceremonies is when they do the healings. Let's say yourself, I'll use yourself, Chuck. Somebody in your immediate family is very, very sick or going through a hard time, and you happen to make an acquaintance with the Men's Society, the Horn Society, and through a mutual friend, they hear about it and they want to help you. So they'll arrange for you to come in at a certain date and dance with one of the sacred staffs that the Horn Society members hold. So during a certain day, you will be asked to come forth and to line up with the men as they are going to do one of the sacred dances, and they'll give you the staff that they use, a very sacred item. That is where you are in direct connection with our Creator, it is then where you will be asking Creator for help for whoever you came there for. So very rare does this happen, but I've seen it happen. And same for the Women's Society. So you can get involved to some degree.
Very, very interesting. And the reason I asked that is because when you explained, it seemed to me, growing up, we have certain traditions, and there are certain traditions where outsiders can partake, but there are other traditions where they are not allowed. And even those traditions where they can partake, sometimes, you know, we have a tight circle of people who facilitate, and you can be there as an onlooker. So I thought, you know, it'd be interesting to know whether it was the same. And from your explanation, it seems like there are some similarities there. So thank you for that. I don't know if you wanted to jump in here.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chaz. Thank you, Dad, for sharing that. And I just also want to add that one of the reasons that to the opening of traditions, I think the Sundance is the particular Sundance in the Blackfoot territory. That specific ceremony is one that, as Leonard said, it takes all that time to go through, like from a child to an adult. And at the same time, I feel like Leonard here is so open and generous with his wisdom and spirituality, and that's why I know him, because I went to him as a young man, kind of like not really knowing how to walk this world in a good way, and he helped direct me. So and through indigenous ceremonies and spirituality is how we direct it, but not that particular ceremony. So yeah, I'll just pass that back to you, Chebs. Yeah.
Well, so Elder Leonard, go ahead. So for those of us young folks growing up in these times, what are some of the things that, as an elder, you know, with all of your experiences through residential school, becoming an engineer, being an elder, you know, and you still acknowledge that there are certain things that you may have missed because of the time you spent in residential school. So how are you, you know, what is it that you are doing perhaps to go back and learn those things? And if there are any lessons in that for those of us out here, young people growing up now with a lot of turbulence in the world and trying to, you know, try not to miss out on so many things, but also trying to maintain focus. As Adam was saying, you know, you want to have a certain level of focus, be intentional about things you're doing. So there are lessons certainly we could learn from your experience.
Okay, beautiful. One of the things I'll share with you is my own life. When I was barely 3 years old, not 4 years old yet, I was forcibly taken away from my family by at the time, all I saw was men in black. Later on, I found out there were priests and there were policemen that came to my parents' house and forcibly took me away. And they basically locked me up in a residential school for 10 years. Very little did I ever get to go home and spend maybe a couple of days with my family. But during that time, I was, other people will, you know, try and define what they've gone through in their life, hardships. One of the things is racism, which is still rampant today. But aside from that, the best explanation that I've tried to give people is when I finally realized what I went through 10 years, not too long ago, which is I basically went through hell and I survived and I came back. If you can think of hell, of every imaginable thing that a human would do to another human being, is what I went through. And today, you know, I survived, because of a very simple thing. During the 10 years I was absent, it was literally, and I talked about, the government of the day trying to kill, do away with the human beings in North America. I was given food that's not even fit for a pig. I was given diseases. I was beaten almost to death. I was given broken bones and so on. So I was mentally, emotionally, physically, and sexually abused for 10 years. So that's why I said hell and back. So part of the journey that I went through, there's something that I now realized, I'll get to that a little bit later. Something inside of me kept telling me, Leonard, you cannot give up. You cannot give up. So that's why I survived day to day. And when I finally managed to walk away from the residential school just before I was 14 years old, I spent the next 5 years of my life living in the streets of Edmonton, Alberta. Basically, I walked around in the streets of Edmonton and I knew how to survive. All for this, basically, I don't know, how I describe it is I walked around and I lived like a zombie. I had no emotions. I did not know what loneliness was, what sadness was, what anger was, what frustration was, but most of all, I didn't even know what love meant. Just imagine trying to live like that. Absolutely, I was just a walking, I guess you can walking dead person. But somewhere deep, always in me, something kept telling me, Leonard, you've got to survive. You've got to survive. Then I came back home when I was 19. So we talked about a little bit about the culture, our traditional and spiritual way of life. During the time I was absent from 3 to 19 years old, that's where I should have been involved in these sacred societies. The doves, the crazy dogs, and maybe the horns. But because I missed that, that was my education. I was never educated or taught the ways of my Blackfoot people. And then when I came, I moved on with my life and I got married in 1969 to a woman that spent 51 years of her life with me. But somewhere during that lifetime, I somehow managed to relearn everything that I know today. And there is a lot. A lot of it has to do if you can understand the mysterious ways of our lives. It wasn't really human beings that taught me the ways of the Blackfoot people, taught me the ways of the ceremony. It was always through the spiritual way. And I know Adam will attest to this, but I've shared a lot of stories with him. Some of the things that I do today, I did before this lifetime that I have. And I've always told people, they ask me, how do you know how to do these things? How do you know so many different songs that you sing? And I tell them, I've sang them somewhere in another life. So, to, I guess the short answer is, I have already known about the ways of the Blackfoot people, even though I missed a fair amount of period where I should have learned everything. So how young people can do what they can do today is never, ever be afraid to try and do anything that you can. A good story that I'd like to share with people is, and one of it was on, I'll share this with you, is when I started singing ceremonial songs. When I came back to the reservation when I was 19, maybe a little bit older, I started singing ceremonial songs. But the songs that I sang were not from the Blackfoot people. They were from my relatives from the Sioux Nation. And in one gathering, I was singing them. And an older elder, after we went for a break. He called me over and he told me, those songs that you're singing, I do not ever want to hear you sing them again. They're not from the Blackfoot territory. They're from somewhere else. You're a Blackfoot. You do not sing them here again. So basically, I was scolded. And it hurt me really hard, And I carried that with me a little while. But I went to another elder who I finally opened up to. And I asked him, why would this Blackfoot elder tell me this about me not singing songs that aren't from the Blackfoot country, that are from somewhere else? My good friend, the elder, just sat there and he thought. Then he told me, he says, Leonard, don't worry. The next time you want to sing your ceremonial songs, go ahead and sing them the songs that were gifted to you from the spirit people. Sing them. If the same elder comes back to you or another elder tells you, you can't do this, here's a simple way to respond. Just look them straight in the eye and ask them, are you the creator that's telling me that I can't do this? So basically what he was telling me was, no man can ever prevent another man or woman from doing what you want to do, period. And that's how I've lived my life ever since. I've even faced, and it's still one of the biggest things today, is racism. It happens to all people, right around the world. And how I deal with it, I just face it right straight on. I do not shy away from it. But the thing how I face it, I do not face it with violence. I face it with love. I look the person right in the eye that's causing me that pain, racist comments. I'll look them right in the eye, then I will tell them, I forgive you, for you do not know what you are doing. And guess what? I smile and I walk away. It gives me, I'm full of good things. So when I walk away, so I turn the table around, guess what? The individual that's making the racist comments or anything like that, he's on the other end and he's trying to wonder, okay, what did I do to make this guy so happy? So then he's thinking about it for the rest of his life.
Right.
That's how I deal with it. So that's how I've been dealing with so many things in my life.
Well, very powerful. You have a lot of energy, positive, and incredible, fortitude there. And we can never apologize enough. I say we, but I say that because those of us who come onto this land that was inhabited by your ancestors, the first people, and knowing the treatment that has gone on, we can only apologize for it. I'm sorry for what you went through there, through the residential schools. We can only apologize and hope that the lessons that you are teaching us, we can use those to create a better society. Adam, I don't know if you have something to add or questions. I know you probably got all the lessons. This is your.
well, I think we're just at the top of the hour, and then maybe it's just asking Dad and Leonard. I'd love to hear just any final words of wisdom for us moving forward? And yeah.
Okay. I understand that there may be some viewers, maybe, I don't know how many that may be listening in, but I would just like to share this with you. I come to you from the bedroom of my own home. As you can see, I'm lying on my bed, looking out the window. It's kind of snowing here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, there's a last minute snowstorm before the spring finally gets here. But anyway, one of the best things about when I wake up in the morning, and that's what all human beings right around the world forget to do. When you wake up from a good sleep, the very first breath of life, or breath that you take in and you exhale, wake up and thank. We call him the creator. Right around the world, he's called so many different things: God, Allah, and so many different races right around him. Thank him for giving you another day to be here on this planet Earth, to be with your family, your children, your friends, and your relatives. That's the very first thing that a lot of human beings forget to do. In fact, every human being, the majority of human beings today, wake up carrying what they had from yesterday into the same day. They're piling all of these problems right on top of each other. That's why a lot of our people right around the world are dysfunctional today. They do not know how to get rid of all, I call it garbage. So every day when you first wake up, thank, in my case, my creator for giving me another day. Then I have a talk with him, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, with the lights still dark. I ask him, I tell him, Creator, everything that I have gone through yesterday, all the trials, the tribulations, the racism, the anger, the earthquakes around the world, the floods, people killing each other all over the place. These are problems that I cannot handle. Please take them. You with your mysterious powers can take them, and either you solve them or do it. But I cannot take them as a human being. Lift them off my shoulders. So today I want to start off with a clean slate. I want to wake up and greet my children, my grandchildren, to do the best I can just for today, to see how I can help others that need help more than I am. Because there's nothing we can do here in this world that will change, other than how we do it ourselves. Okay, so, and the last bit of advice is try hard. Do not give up how hard it gets at times. A personal story that I still struggle with. Today, but I'm happy. And that's learning to live. Okay? No matter how hard it gets, you can get through it, all right? Just have faith, all right? So that's my message for today. Just have faith in yourself, trust in yourself. We can do anything, okay? And remember my 4 values: honesty, responsibility, respect, and trust. How to help each other, how to look after each other, how to share with each other, and how to take care of each other, but most of all, how to love one another. Very simple. Very simple. Okay?
Thank you so much. It's been powerful. Honesty, responsibility, respect, trust, love, lots of wisdom from Elder Dayrider here from the Blackfoot Nation. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure. I hope you will come again many more times, and because we can't get all the wisdom in one sitting, right? So
Yes.
we have to have many conversations about different things, and then the wisdom is going to come out, and we're going to learn the lessons, and the knowledge is going to be passed on. So thank you so much. Thank you to all of our viewers. Adam, please.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much, everyone. It's been such a gift. Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Dad. It's amazing. Yeah.
Oh.
Right. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This has been a very powerful conversation. If you missed it, please look on YouTube on our page. It's going to be up. The recording should be on Facebook shortly after this broadcast. And we look forward to having you in subsequent conversations with our brother Adam and Elder Leonard. And have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday, everybody, and have a great week ahead. Thank you so much.
Okay. See you.
Okay, bye-bye. Well, it's been a pleasure, a lot of knowledge, lots of wisdom from our elder. And to wrap up this broadcast, I just want to thank all of our viewers for your dedication to our platform, for joining us every Sunday, even if it's for a few minutes, to watch and support what we're doing here with these conversations. I owe you a debt of gratitude. Please, to all of my fellow Scotians, those of you here, I know this weekend is the anniversary of the very tragic shooting that we had in this province, in this country, last year. So our hearts, our loves, our prayers go to all the family members who lost loved ones then. And as the saying goes, we are all Nova Scotia strong. We remember those folks. We can't forget them. And we all rise up and stand against violence, particularly violence against women and children. We stand up against that. We condemn such acts, and hopefully we can get ourselves to a place where those kinds of violence are a thing of the past. So we remember those folks who lost their lives. We remember their families, and we keep them in our prayers, and they will never be forgotten. Nova Scotia strong. All of us here remember there's a lot of love and positivity out there for those folks and for our province and for our country. So I want to send out our love to everybody out there. Please join us next week. We have a great show. We have the incredible Uzo, who's going to be joining us in our next episode next week. And we will be having a great discussion with our friend Uzo, who will be on the show. I had been thinking about doing something for 420. 420 is coming up on Tuesday, so we will see. We will see, but folks, be ready. We may come on. I'm trying to put together some folks to talk about 420. Many of you know what that is about. But next week we're gonna have the incredible Uzo join us on the show, and she's going to share some incredible life experiences, and also we'll talk about a lot of positive things. So from this end, I want to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. Please share, encourage others to go watch our videos, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That is the best way to support us. If you really want to support us, come on, watch our shows, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and promote us that way. It doesn't cost any money. It's just one click of the cursor on the YouTube icon that says subscribe, and you're in. And also follow our Facebook page and our Instagram page and through our social networks. Thank you all. Have a great Sunday. I will see you next time. I'm your host here, Chaps McFarland. Welcome to Unfiltered. I'm your host here, Chaps McFarland. Welcome to Unfiltered.